Hello there. It's really nice to see you here again. One of the people who have been quietly following the story of Jack and LyTuTien, no matter where you are in the world. Whether you've been here from the very beginning, or you just recently discovered their story, there's one thing we all seem to share. At some point, we've seen a part of ourselves in what they've been through. How are you today? If you'd like, leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And now, let's step into today's story. Have you ever looked at Jack or looked at LyTuTien and wondered, in a relationship that seems so peaceful on the surface, could there be things quietly happening underneath that the other person doesn't even know? There are changes that are not loud, not obvious, but somehow they make your heart feel uneasy, as if just a little more silence and a distance will slowly begin to form. And sometimes, what we fear the most is not losing someone, but realizing they are still right beside us. And yet, we can no longer reach their heart the way we used to. For LyTuTien, the past few days had felt exactly like that. Everything in their small home in the town was still the same. The morning sunlight still filtered gently through the trees, falling onto the porch. The little garden was still green, flowers still blooming quietly. Meals were still prepared neatly. There was still the soft sound of dishes touching, the warm smell of food in the air. Everything looked just like before. Mother Loy was still gentle, still watching everything with that quiet understanding in her eyes. She didn't ask many questions, but she always seemed to know when to stay close and when to remain silent, as if she understood that some things cannot be solved with words, only held together with patience. And Jack, he was still Jack, still calm, still quiet, still carrying everything within himself. But maybe it was exactly because he hadn't changed on the surface that the difference became even more noticeable. He started leaving earlier, some mornings. By the time Tu Tien woke up, the house was already empty. Only a faint trace of the cool morning air left behind, as if he had been gone for quite a while, without wanting to wake her. At night, he came home later, not late enough to cause alarm, but late enough that the lights had already been on for a long time, late enough that the food had cooled just a little, and late enough that someone had been waiting for quite a while, without saying a word. He would still ask, "Have you eaten yet?" Still sit down, still eat. But between those short sentences, there were spaces that had never been there before. LyTuTien noticed everything, but she didn't ask, because sometimes asking doesn't make things clearer. It only makes the heart feel heavier. One afternoon, when the sunlight had softened, the wind was lighter, and everything seemed to slow down. Tu Tien stood in the yard, watering the small plants, each drop of water falling quietly onto the ground, so softly that she could almost hear her own heartbeat. And then, from the gate, a voice called out, "Excuse me, is this Jack's house?" She turned, slowly, and saw a woman she had never met before. Thin figure, a face marked by time, hands no longer soft, but her eyes were deep, as if they had been holding a story for far too long and could not hold it anymore. "Yes, this is his home. May I ask who you are?" Tu Tien said. The woman gave a faint smile, very gentle. I don't think he ever mentioned me. It wasn't a heavy sentence, but somehow the air shifted. Tu Tien opened the gate, invited her in. They sat on the porch, where the sunlight was just right. Not too harsh, not too cold. Mother Loy brought out tea, placed it down, looked at the woman for a moment, then quietly went inside, without asking anything, as if she understood this was not her story to step into. Silence lingered for a while. The wind brushed lightly through the trees, and then the woman spoke. I came today because I thought you should know. Tu Tien didn't rush. She simply held her cup and asked softly, "Know what?" The woman lowered her gaze, her voice slower now. For the past 3 weeks, Jack has been coming to a small clinic at the edge of town. Every single day, sometimes very early, sometimes very late. And he always told us not to tell you. Tu Tien's heart sank, not out of fear, but because something finally began to take shape. What has he been doing there? She asked quietly. He's been paying for my husband's treatment. Silence. My husband used to work with Jack, and he was the one who made a mistake. That caused Jack to lose everything back then. Tu Tien didn't move. Her eyes remained calm, but inside, something had shifted. We had nothing left, the woman continued. I went to find him, even though I thought he would refuse, but he didn't. He never mentioned the past, never blamed anyone. He just said, I'll take care of it. She let out a quiet breath, her eyes softening. He comes every day, talks to the doctors, handles everything, and every time I thank him, he only says one thing. What does he say? Tu Tien asked. He says there are things that are no longer about right or wrong, but about someone you love who deserves to live in peace. In that moment, LyTuTien didn't cry. She simply sat there, very still, because sometimes when you finally understand something, you don't react, you just feel a deep and quiet stillness. She remembered the empty mornings, the late nights, the tired look in his eyes, the way he would stand outside the door for a moment before coming in, as if he needed a little more time to become himself again. It was never distance, it was never change. He had simply chosen to walk a harder path, to keep her world a little more peaceful. That night, Jack came home. The house was still warm, the light still on. Tu Tien sat at the table, not waiting at the door, not looking outside, just sitting there, quietly, as if she no longer needed to wait. Jack stepped in. He looked tired, but when he saw her, his eyes softened. You're still awake. She looked at him for a long moment, then said gently, I met someone today. Jack froze, just for a second, but it was enough. She stepped closer, took his hand, very gently. You don't have to explain anything. Silence filled the space between them. Next time, she whispered, don't carry it alone. Jack looked at her, and for the first time, there was nothing left hidden in his eyes. He pulled her into his arms. Outside, the wind still moved. The night was still deep. Nothing was completely resolved. And yet, inside that small house, something had become clear. That sometimes, you don't need to know everything. You only need to know that the person you love never turned away from you. They were just quietly carrying a heavier part, so you could live a little more gently. And maybe, in a relationship, what brings the most peace is not promises, but the feeling that no matter what happens, there is still someone who will stay.